Life was flowing as usual, calm and predictable, when suddenly one night, the sky over Stockholm was lit by something completely unexpected, a golden sphere drifting silently through the darkness. Countless tiny bubbles rained down like sparks from another world. This was no ordinary rain, and no one could have imagined that it marked the beginning of a massive and terrifying invasion. We then see Prime Minister Moa, who receives alarming news from Stockholm. Without wasting a moment, she leaves after a warm goodbye to her family and heads toward her office. Meanwhile, on the road, we meet biologist Zandra, who also makes her way to work, firmly believing that all of this is nothing but a waste of money. Her research project had long been ignored by the Institute and pushed aside. Clinging to her last ray of hope, Zandra feels distressed about her research. But her boyfriend Adam encourages her and boosts her morale. With renewed determination, she finally begins her work. Zandra enters a dark underground tunnel where she sets traps, knowing that rats inhabit the area. Moving further inside, she starts collecting samples and suddenly notices clusters of strange-looking mushrooms growing along the rocky walls, completely different from any mushrooms she has ever seen before. When Zandra touches one of them with her hand, a sudden disturbance occurs within the golden light in the sky, but she remains completely unaware of it. She takes photographs of these unusual mushrooms. Just then, she receives an urgent phone call from a customer who is impatiently trying to reach her. Forced to leave in a hurry, Zandra exits the tunnel without noticing that the mushrooms have begun to glow, while the golden sphere in the sky starts to expand, as if it is transmitting some kind of signal. At the same time, lights begin to flicker at the place where crisis expert Elias is present. He has come to the hospital for a routine checkup. Through a glass window, he notices dark clouds suddenly spreading in the sky. On the road, Henrik is traveling with his daughter when they sense an approaching storm and immediately get into their car to leave the area. Unfortunately, Zandra becomes trapped in a traffic jam. Elias steps out of the hospital, while Moa, from the glass window of her office, stares at the sky in shock. When Zandra finally looks up, she sees an enormous jellyfish-like entity floating in the air above the city. Instinctively, she pulls out her phone and captures a photo of the horrifying sight. This strange, hovering presence instantly spreads fear and chaos throughout the entire city. The Soviet Prime Minister Moa called an emergency meeting concerning national security. British officials were shouting that they would immediately shoot it down with fighter jets, but no one knew the true source of this phenomenon. Any step taken in haste could lead to unpredictable consequences. Meanwhile, Zandra returned to her car. She repeatedly zoomed in on the photograph she had taken. As she examined it closely, she realized that the texture and structure of the mushrooms she had seen in the tunnel were strikingly similar to that of the mysterious entity spreading across the sky. Without hesitation, she immediately tried to call her professor, Mr. Morgan. Unfortunately, his phone was switched off. Zandra could only send him the photograph. Anxiously, she waited for Mr. Morgan to call her back as soon as possible. The news of the unknown flying entity spread rapidly across the world. Public opinion in different countries heated up instantly. Some people believed it was a kind of alien spaceship, while others dismissed it as an incomprehensible, supernatural phenomenon. The Swedish authorities had still not been able to finalize any emergency plan, because according to the investigation conducted by the security department, nothing had entered the ground through the atmosphere during the past 24 hours. In this situation, they were left with only one option: to seek help from the United Nations. The proposal put forward by the security advisor, Elias, seemed quite reliable. He suggested that air samples should be collected from the unknown flying entity in order to prevent the possibility that it might be carrying an unfamiliar virus or bacteria. However, his proposal had not yet been implemented. Suddenly, heavy rain began pouring down over the city. Without warning, a woman collapsed to the ground, her entire body convulsing violently. The passers-by around her started recording the horrifying scene on their mobile phones. The video spread across the internet like a virus. Public opinion in different countries heated up at an alarming speed. Some people declared it to be an alien spaceship, while others struggled to explain it in any rational way. Waiting for the rain to stop was not easy. The government immediately took emergency measures to reduce the impact of the rainwater. The military also began close-range surveillance using drones. Test results revealed that all affected individuals had developed cold-like symptoms. The unknown jellyfish-like creature maintained a constant body temperature of 38 degrees Celsius. This clearly indicated that it was not a mechanical object, but some kind of living organism. The test results of the rainwater samples were equally disturbing. Although no toxic substances were found in the samples, a new gene sequence was discovered, one that did not match any known life form on Earth. After collecting and analyzing various data, a vague yet terrifying conclusion finally emerged. The mysterious entity floating in the sky was an alien life form that had gone undetected by all monitoring systems. It had silently crossed Earth's atmosphere and entered our world. As fear continued to spread, Prime Minister Moa called an emergency press conference and announced that Saint-Germain would be evacuated in phases. During the press conference, the lights suddenly went out, triggering panic throughout the room. Moments later, electricity was restored and the conference resumed. Moa and Elias answered the journalists' questions, assuring them that the situation would be brought under control. Meanwhile, as a precautionary safety measure, Zandra temporarily moved into her boyfriend's home. She repeatedly compared the images stored on her mobile phone. The more she studied them, the stronger her belief became that the alien creature and the mushroom growing in the sewer belonged to the very same species. To confirm the fear that had taken root in her heart, Zandra stepped outside. During this time, Adam accidentally saw Zandra's pregnancy photos saved in her phone. At that very moment, Zandra arrived and quickly took her phone back, heading outside to capture clearer images of the alien jellyfish hovering in the sky. Suddenly, the alien creature released a dazzling golden light. Everyone stood helplessly, staring up at the sky, unaware of what it all meant. At that moment, a bold idea suddenly flashed through Zandra's mind. Early the next morning, while her boyfriend was still asleep, she quietly slipped out of the house. In reality, Zandra wanted to return to the city to examine the mushrooms growing in the sewer once again. However, the city had already been sealed off. She lied, saying that she was going to stay at home and managed to pass through the checkpoint successfully. What Zandra did not know was that at the same time a secret meeting was being held in a classified room, where plans for a military strike against the alien life form were being discussed. The Swedish military wanted to take action before any American intervention could occur. But before making a move, they needed to gather more data. Sometime later, Zandra re-entered the sewer. As she approached the wall, she was left in shock. A soft, faint golden glow emanated from the mushrooms, and clearly written on the wall, formed by the mushrooms themselves, were the words, "We come in peace." Security consultant Elias put his life at risk by taking a helicopter into the air. When he reached the designated location and switched on the equipment, the alien jellyfish suddenly released an extremely powerful gust of air. The experienced pilot was stunned into silence. Without wasting a second, he immediately turned the helicopter back and aborted the operation. Because this was no ordinary gas, it was a highly volatile substance capable of igniting and exploding. If it had detonated, the entire city would have been sealed off and devastated. Meanwhile, Zandra had already emerged from the sewer. She had taken a photograph of the glowing message written by the luminous mushrooms and collected a sample to take to her mentor, Mr. Morgan. She drove forward at high speed, trying desperately to reach him. However, the phone on the other end still refused to connect. After thinking it over again and again, Zandra finally decided to go to the institute herself. But the conditions at that moment did not allow her the luxury of calmly conducting research. As soon as America received news of the alien life form, an order was issued directly to Sweden under the Space Safety Act. By then, all staff at the U.S. Embassy had already been evacuated. The military estimated that they would launch an attack on the alien life form that very night. Yet, by that time, millions of people were still unable to evacuate the city. The Prime Minister Moa had no choice but to impose a temporary curfew in order to reduce the level of danger as much as possible. However, everyone present understood one terrifying truth. If the alien life form were shot down, it would be enough to trigger a catastrophic disaster. Meanwhile, Zandra had already reached the institute. A security guard at the entrance tried to stop her, but she quickly made up an excuse to deceive him and ran straight into the laboratory. Inside, she spotted a state-of-the-art electronic microscope and stuffed it into her backpack before hurriedly fleeing the institute. Unfortunately, a laboratory assistant noticed her and immediately alerted security. After making sure no one was nearby, Zandra nervously opened the mushroom. A golden, transparent substance slowly began to ooze out. It was the strangest thing Zandra had ever seen in her entire research career. Without hesitation, she extracted a tube sample of the liquid because she wanted to study it further, as she still did not fully understand the true nature of this mysterious mushroom. By now, the Prime Minister's press conference had ended. Elias, already unwell and now even more stressed, returned to his room and took his medicine as soon as the conference concluded. On the other hand, Zandra arrived near a biological laboratory. Due to the threat of an alien attack, the place had already been evacuated. Only a single dog stood waiting in the courtyard. As Zandra climbed over the iron fence, the dog immediately charged toward her. Panicking, she pulled out the container holding the mushroom and extended it toward the dog. The dog approached, tasted the mushroom, and instantly became calm. Seizing the moment, Zandra smashed the glass of the main door with force. The security alarm began blaring, but she still unlocked the door and entered the building. The dog followed her inside, though Zandra paid no attention to it and continued into the laboratory. Inside, Zandra poured the golden liquid into a biological analyzer and began the test. Because of the alarm, security guards had spread throughout the building. Spotting them, Zandra hid, and the dog hid alongside her. Once the guards left the laboratory area, the test was completed. The results revealed a shocking truth. The substance contained an extremely high concentration of cyanide. Zandra immediately photographed the test data, slung her backpack over her shoulder, and escaped the laboratory with the dog. However, the dog's barking drew the attention of the security guards, who spotted Zandra. She began running toward the exit at full speed, with the guards chasing after her. At that moment, the dog bravely stepped in front of the guards and blocked their path, giving Zandra the chance to safely escape from the biological laboratory. Just then, her boyfriend called her. Many people had already received an official government notice stating that the military was preparing to attack the alien life form, and that everyone was ordered to evacuate the area immediately. Deep down, Zandra knew the truth all too well. The alien entity contained a massive amount of cyanide. If it were attacked, the entire city could be destroyed. That was why it was absolutely critical for her to inform the Ministry of Defense before it was too late. Meanwhile, Elias had returned to the government building. He informed everyone that the alien jellyfish was capable of releasing cyanide. Elias's opinion was exactly the same as Zandra's, that a military strike should not be carried out without careful thought. However, when Elias had previously approached the alien structure, he had also recorded a low-frequency sound wave. Researchers converted it into an audible signal and then decoded it into words. The meaning of those words was shocking: either surrender or be destroyed. Unexpectedly, the alien jellyfish had expressed such a clear threat. A fierce debate immediately erupted in the conference room. Voices arguing in favor of a counterattack quickly gained the majority. Although Elias continued to push for a peaceful agreement, Prime Minister Moa ultimately made the decision to launch a missile strike against the alien jellyfish. In her view, even if the entire city were buried as a result, it would be better than remaining passive without any response. At the same time, after speaking with her boyfriend, Zandra headed toward her car, only to discover that it had been locked. It was then revealed that Zandra had already been recorded on security cameras. On the other side, the military was fully prepared to attack the alien jellyfish. When her boyfriend informed her of this, Zandra hurried forward on foot, since her car had been confiscated. As she rushed ahead, she came across a scooter, jumped on it, and immediately sped toward her destination. In contrast to all this chaos, Zandra's mentor, Professor Morgan, a biology professor at St. Germain University, reacted very differently. After seeing the photographs Zandra had sent him, he was instantly filled with deep concern. That was why he personally went to the sewer, descended into the tunnel, and carefully examined the strange mushrooms with great caution. By evening, Zandra had finally reached the government building. Unfortunately, the guards stationed outside stopped her, as she grew increasingly anxious. Elias, lost in deep thought and walking absent-mindedly, coincidentally stepped outside the building. Zandra had seen the security consultant on television, so she immediately rushed forward and shouted at the top of her voice that the alien structure was filled with cyanide. Her words instantly put Elias on high alert, because information related to cyanide is considered extremely classified and sensitive. Elias immediately ordered the guards to step aside and began questioning Zandra in detail. Zandra did not waste this golden opportunity. She shared all of her findings with Elias and clearly explained that if the alien jellyfish was sending cyanide-based signals to humans, then a preemptive human attack could easily ignite a full-scale war from both sides. Elias realized that this was far from a trivial matter, so he promptly passed this information on to Prime Minister Moa. However, less than an hour now remained. On top of that, Zandra had a criminal record from several years earlier. Adding to the suspicion, the incident of her forcibly entering a laboratory had occurred only a short while ago. Because of this, the arguments she presented were not being considered fully credible. Prime Minister Moa rejected all of Zandra's research and reasoning outright. After this, Zandra learned from Elias that the government authorities did not trust her conclusions. Despite this setback, she did not give up. Instead, her resolve grew even stronger. Since the mushrooms were deeply connected to the alien life form, Zandra believed they might be used as a means of communication between the military and the alien entity. Elias decided to personally take the risk and test this theory. He set off on a motorcycle with Zandra. Driven by a deeply personal reason as well, he had been diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer and had only 6 months left to live. In the very next moment, Elias picked up a piece of the mushroom and put it into his mouth. Instantly, he felt an intense sensation of suffocation. The sofa beneath him seemed to grow softer, and his body began to lose control, slowly sinking down, until Elias vanished into the sofa altogether. When Elias opened his eyes again, he found himself inside a deserted, decaying house. Hanging on the mirror frame was a medal, a symbol of his honor and rank. He picked it up and immediately placed it around his neck. Suddenly, a voice echoed from a robot-like toy. Elias recognized it at once. It was a birthday gift his father had once given him, and the message from that toy robot was clear. "We come in peace." At that very moment, Elias regained full consciousness. He became convinced that this was the way to establish contact with the alien life form. Determined, he picked up another piece of the mushroom and put it into his mouth once more. Meanwhile, on the other side, heavy military machinery and weapons were being aimed at the alien jellyfish, ready for attack under Prime Minister Moa's orders. When we return to Elias, we see that this time he has arrived on a deserted road. Rising to his feet, he immediately tries to establish contact with the aliens. His attention is drawn to a pit in the ground at the side of the road. As Elias peers inside, he sees the same toy robot lying there, still repeating the very same message of peace. And in the real world, Zandra was continuously whispering a set of coordinates into Elias's ear, trying to confirm the alien creature's sincerity, so that this message could reach the alien within the imagined realm. At the same time, the atmosphere inside the government meeting room had completely frozen, and the military had finalized all preparations. Just as the female prime minister was about to issue the final order and press the fire button, a message from Elias came through on the phone, urging them not to attack. Without hesitation, Prime Minister Moa immediately halted the strike. Almost at that very moment, the surveillance screens showed the alien creature hovering above the city slowly beginning to move. A look of relief and happiness appeared on Zandra's face, because the direction in which the alien jellyfish was heading was exactly the same coordinate she had previously specified. The Prime Minister instantly canceled the missile launch order, and the American fighter jets were recalled as well. Just when everyone believed that the danger had passed, Zandra's mentor, Professor Morgan, suddenly called the authorities. He warned them that the alien jellyfish was an extremely intelligent and highly strategic predator, and that humanity had just missed its best chance to destroy it. The price of this mistake, he said, might have to be paid in the form of the destruction of the entire world. At that very moment, the alien creature had already reached the skies above a distant mountainous region. Suddenly, a hole beneath it lit up with an intense glow. From within it, a shining golden sphere slowly descended toward the ground and finally landed on Earth. But what exactly is hidden inside this glowing orb? And is this the beginning of peace and friendship, or the start of a devastating war between humanity and the aliens? No one knows. So stay with us to find out, because in the next recap, the mystery of this golden sphere that has arrived on Earth will finally be revealed. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for updates on the next video, and be sure to like and share this one as well. Thanks for watching.